What is up, you mad dogs? We're back again for this week's UFC Fight Night, which is taking place in Macau, China. This is my full card prediction and breakdown video for the entire card. We're looking at the main event of Song Yadong versus Deiveson Figueiredo, which is a pretty fun matchup. I'm kind of looking forward to this one. And we got some fun matchups to follow it throughout the card. A few big names here and there. A couple of Korean and Asian NPCs, as you'd expect on one of these cards. Look, Asakura is back. Jake bloody Matthews. Cody Haddon's finally making his return. The list goes on, boys. Let's jump right into this card. No fucking fluff. The UFC needs to update their website on this card because there's a few fights, and we'll get to them, that have changed opponents for one of the sides. So we'll get there, alright? First fight of the night, we're looking at Loma Lookboonmee versus Jaqueline Amorim. This is a bit of an interesting one. I'm going to go with Loma Lookboonmee here. This could really go one of two ways. We could see Jaqueline Amorim just take her down and submit her, or we're going to see Loma build into the fight and probably win the fight over 3 rounds by decision. Now, Lookboonmee coming out of Thailand, trains at Tiger Muay Thai. She has very good Muay Thai, obviously. But she's not completely lost on the ground. You might think, yeah, Muay Thai striker, she's got no grappling. She's coming up against Jaqueline Amorim, who is a very good BJJ grappler. She's got 100% finish rate, 8 subs, 2 TKOs. But Loma Lookboomee's look good. And like I said, not completely lost on the ground. She's been able to defend. She's got a pretty decent takedown defense as far as the stats go. She's been taken down and controlled at times. In her last fight, she got taken down and controlled a bit by Alexia Thayanara. Who else did she lose to? I feel like there was another grappler there. Lupita Godinez also got her. But I don't think Jaqueline Amorim's bringing that type of grappling control where she's going to hold down Loma Lookboonmee. And a lot of the time with Amorim, she will favor the sub over the position and obviously lose a position at times and end up on bottom. And I think that's going to be a problem for her here because Loma Lookboonmee, she's switched on when it comes to the ground. Yeah, she's been taken down a few times before and controlled here and there, but I just don't feel like Amorim's looked that great, you know? I don't feel like she's been that great. And while she's had some dominant moments, I feel like Lookboomee's wins have been a bit better. She beat Sam Hughes, whereas Jaqueline Amorim couldn't. Now, I know the MMA math don't always add up like that, okay? I know, but I just feel like stylistically, I think Loma's going to be able to defend the takedowns here early. And as this fight goes on, I think we're going to see a bit less success in the grappling from the Amorim side. And on the feet, I think Loma's going to make it look a bit easy. She is a very good Muay Thai striker. She's going to rip the leg kicks. She had Elise Reed's leg. She had a massive welt on Elise Reed's leg. Fucking hell. I don't know what the fuck just happened to me there. She had a massive welt growing on Elise Reed's leg just from a few leg kicks in the first round. Jesus fucking Christ. Why was that so hard to get out? Yeah, Loma Lookboonmee. I'm going to go with her to win a decision here. Let's not spend too much time on the WMMA fights, eh? Next fight of the night, we're actually moving on. Not to Ramon Tavares, because he has pulled out. We're going to switch over to topology here. We're looking at Zhu Kangjie versus Rodrigo Vera. Vera stepping in on a few weeks short notice here. I'm going to take him to win the fight. I am going to take him to win this fight. Now, there's a few things to look at here. Stylistically, we're looking at more of a striker in Zhu Kangjie, whereas Vera, he's more of a pressure-based fighter. He'll mix in the grappling, the takedowns. He doesn't necessarily rely on it, but he, I guess, relentlessly mixes it in. He's a good, well-rounded MMA fighter with a great record, 21-1. Only 1 loss on the record. Yes, all regionals, but there is a pretty good win amongst those that is notable right now, and that's Juan Diaz, that's his only loss. And Juan Diaz fought 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago? Yeah, on that last card. He fought and fucked up Malcolm Wellmaker. Now, We were all pretty high on Malcolm Molemaker. There are a lot of people were anyway. And Juan Diaz looked very good in that fight. And this guy is the only dude that he has lost to. So I feel like that's pretty good coming in. Another Peruvian prospect. Zhu Kangi coming off road to UFC finals. I mean, we don't always get the best product out of that region, you know? They don't tend to go as far as some of the others, I guess is a safe way to put it. I think the pressure and the constant pace of Rodrigo Vera is going to do work here. I think this will be a close fight, and I think Zhu Kangi will have his moments on the feet. But I think as this fight goes on, I think Vera is going to have a little bit more success with the grappling. We've seen in... It was one of the fights that Kangjie had on the road to UFC finals, and he fought this Japanese grappler, and he was able to get him down more and more as the fight went on, as he started to slow down. And I think Rodrigo Vera is probably going to be bringing a bit more of a better pressure-based style than what that dude did, mixing in the striking a bit better as well. He's tough, comes forward, and that's what he's going to do here. I think he's going to put it on Zhu Kangi, and then he's going to pick up a decision win on short notice. I don't know. This one could go either way. I mean, there's a lot of these fights on this card that are a bit like this, where you got some fighters that have never fucking fought in the UFC actually before. So it's tough to tell, especially when they're coming from two different regional circuits, you know? So let's move back into the fucking UFC site. Right. Angela Hill versus Jingnan Zhao. Something like that. Probably should have looked up how that was pronounced before I attempted it. But look, we tried, okay? Let's talk about the matchup. Angela Hill, veteran, UFC fighter, been around forever, 41, mostly a striker. Mix it up. She's mostly going to strike with the Muay Thai kind of style. Been around forever. Did I say that? She's 41. She's getting up there. She's at the end of her days. But she's not completely gone, you know? Then you have Xiong. One champions strawweight champ. WMMA, obviously. Chinese. Bringing her in at the perfect time. I think one championship released her earlier this year when I think they closed the division. Obviously, they didn't have the matchups there for her. She's got a pretty impressive record. It's not 0-0. I think it's like 19-2. Something like that. When I seen her record, I was like, what the fuck? And she's got quite a few knockouts too. Now, obviously, not UFC level. Whereas Angela Hill has been in the UFC for a long time, fighting the best of the best. So this is kind of a tricky one, given that, because a lot of the time when we have these people coming in from other circuits, like your fucking Patchy Mixes and your fucking Patricio Pitbull, you know, and your Aaron Picos, you know, sometimes they don't always show up, okay? But this one's tough because Angela Hill is kind of at the end of her days, and Jingnan Zhao has a pretty good output on the feet. She's pretty good with the boxing. Dangerous on the feet. She's going to have a good output. I think I already said that. I think she's going to win this fight. I think the homegirl's going to win this fight. I'm going to take Jingnan Zhao to win a decision. Yeah. Higher output. Sometimes I really struggle to find what to say in these women's MMA breakdowns. And I'm sorry for that. It's not out of disrespect to the WMMA fights. I like watching some of them. As we all like watching some of them, you know. Some of them are good to watch. It's just, I don't know. It's hard to find the right words to say sometimes, you know. Let's move on. Jingnan Zhao by decision. That's going to be my pick for this fight. Next fight of the night. We're going to move over to Tapology once again. It's not that one. Ray Tsuruya is fighting this guy. Yeah. Ray Tsuruya is fighting Louis Gurule, who's stepping in on very short notice. He actually only fought on the last card, not even 2 weeks ago today. He's going to be fighting 2 weeks exactly after he fought. Stepping in to fight Ray Tsuruya. This is a bit of an interesting one. I am going to go with Louis Gurule here. I think he's going to win a decision. I'm looking back at the Nick Piccinini fight to kind of get a read on this, as I feel like that's probably the better grappler out of anyone that he's faced, even though he's faced tougher opponents as he's come into the UFC and then lost. I feel like just stylistically, that's probably one of the better recent matchups to go back to and have a look at for this fight, because Ray Tsuruya is a grappling freak. But when that doesn't work for him, it's not all good. You know? It's not all good. So, Ray Tsuruya, nasty grappling, good entries on the takedown, will stick to it. He's very relentless. Mat returns for days. He'll stick on you, move from position to position. Just very good high-level grappling. But, like I mentioned, sometimes it don't always work for the boy. Sometimes it don't always work, and Josh Van was able to put some fucking hands on him. Now, that's his only loss. And I don't want to fucking, come on here and rip him too much, because 10-1, it's not a bad record to have. But stylistically, I do worry for this guy. I think he's going to have early success in this fight, and I actually think he could win the first round. But I do think Louis Gurule's going to build into this fight. He's shown pretty good defensive grappling throughout his fights. I think he's been taken down at least once in each of his fights and pretty much popped straight back up. He knows what to do down there. He's not lost on the ground. Good at getting back up to his feet. In the Nick Piccinini fight, he dealt with some pretty good takedown attempts and some pretty good takedowns that he got back up from. Actually survived an early choke attempt as well. I think that Louis Gurule is going to coast his way to a decision come the second round. I think he's going to be looking a bit better. I think he's going to be landing more. The first round might be a bit of a stall-out round with a lot of control time by Ray Tsuruya, some submission attempts here and there. But like I mentioned, I think Louis Gurule is going to do the right things, and I think he's going to be able to stay on the feet. And if he does, I think it's two different worlds there. The output he has is very clean with the boxing. I think he's going to be able to put hands on Ray Tsuruya. He's not as good as a Josh Van, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong, all right? He's not as good as a Josh Van, but I think Ray Tsuruya seems pretty lost on the feet. And I think that Louis Gurule has shown the right things to be able to, defend that grappling threat. And I think he's going to be able to put it on him here. Louis Gurule by decision, that's going to be my pick. Let's go back to the UFC site. Thank you very much. Moving on, Aoriqileng. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's right. Okay? We're gonna nail some of these ones, okay? We're gonna fucking do it. Versus Cody Haddon, the one and only, baby. Coming from Australia, down fucking under. Cody Haddon's gonna win this fight. I'm gonna take him to win by submission. Yeah, that's what I'm going to go with. Round 2 submission. He mixes in the grappling well. He's got slick boxing, slick with the hands. I could see him knocking him out too. I think it's going to be a finish either way. He has been out for a while, not fought since 2024. He was meant to fight Malcolm Wellmaker last year. Had to pull out of that because of a broken foot, I believe. Something like that. Or a broken hand, maybe. I wish he didn't have to pull out of that fight, because in hindsight, he probably would have won, and that would have been some pretty good clout for him, But here he is, finally making his return. Like I said, not fought for 2 years. I think he might come out and be a bit slow. Take a little bit to get going, just brush off that ring rust. Not come out so high pace as he normally would. But I do think once this fight gets going, he's going to be able to put hands on Aoriqileng. And I think he's going to be able to mix in the takedowns and get him to the ground and sub him out too. We've seen Chileng have issues with the grapplers in the past. Raul Rosas Jr. was able to get him down pretty easily and control him there for a good part of the fight anyway. He's relatively dangerous on the feet. He's coming off of a round 1 knockout over Cody Gibson. But there's not really many of his wins that I can look at and give a whole lot of praise for, you know? He's been around. I always get this dude mixed up with the other dude fighting on this card too, Sumudaerji. I don't know why. Can't quite put my finger on why, you know? I don't know why, but I get him mixed up, okay? Let's just leave it at that. I'm going to take Cody Haddon to win this fight. I think he's going to be better everywhere. I think he'll be better on the feet. He has the advantage on in the grappling, no doubt. And I think he's going to have his way here. I think he's a pretty short favorite here too. And I think that makes sense. Cody Haddon is pretty good. He's young still. Got a lot to go. Hopefully, just hopefully those injuries and whatnot don't have, you know, have a cloud over his mind. Because that can affect a fighter, you know. Just having that in the back of your mind, it can really fuck with you. So hopefully he's all good up there. And yeah, Cody Haddon's going to win this fight by finish. Round number 2. That's what I'm going with. Moving on. Ding Meng versus Jose Henrique. This is a tough one. We have... Let's break it down, okay? Let's break it down. We got Ding Meng, highly experienced. He's not 0-1. They're both 0-1, apparently. No. Ding Meng's like 34-5. Something like that. Like a lot of fights on his record. 28 knockouts. Insane amount of knockouts. And then we got Jose Henrique. He's actually 8-1, I believe. They've both had a crack on the Contender Series. They both fell short. Henrique's loss was probably a bit more brutal. He got TKO'd in the 3rd round. Ran into a massive counter against some Japanese dude. And that does worry me a bit here. But I am going to pick Jose Henrique to win. I think he's a slight underdog in this spot as well. I feel like Ding Meng, just the way he looked in that Contender Series fight, he was fighting another tall, rangy kind of striker. And he kind of spent a lot of that fight just running into counters, running into the jab of this fighter. I'm trying to remember the dude's name, but he wasn't anyone special. He was decent. He was decent, but like he wasn't anyone particularly special. And the dude didn't eventually get into the UFC anyway. So I don't know. It's tough because Meng can be pretty dangerous. Obviously, a lot of knockouts on the record. I didn't go through the records of every single person he's beat, but there were definitely some cans in there, as you get on the regional scene. You know, you got to have some cans to build them up, you know. But there's definitely a few of them in there. And you got Jose Henrique. He's still very young, and that's what I like about him here. He's only 24. He came in for that Dana White's Contender Series fight. He might have been like 22, 21. And he was looking good. He was looking good in moments in that fight, but he did get caught with a big counter in the 3rd. Put down. We could see something similar happen here, but I think he's going to work his way to a decision. Probably a 29-28. Just outworking Ding Meng. Running him into counters. Running him straight into that jab. He's a rangy dude, like I mentioned. I think he's going to be able to get to work like that. 29-28. Decision. That's going to be my call for Jose Henrique. Let's move on to the feature bout of the prelims. Sak Lee versus Luis Felipe Diaz. Sak Lee. Where did he come from? Where did Lee come from? He's like 8-1. I guess they do this sometimes when they go to these regional places and they just bring a random in to debut. They do it here as well. I can't remember how this dude fights. It's just a you know, Korean NPC. Like I said, there's a few of them on here. I'm picking Luis Felipe Diaz to win this fight. Felipe Diaz, he had a good back and forth fight on the Contender Series. It wasn't like a clear-cut victory, but he pulled off a submission in the second round. As you can see here, the dude's built like a fucking brick shithouse. Massive build. So as the fight goes on, you can definitely see him slowing down, and he was a bit in that Contender Series fight, but he still pulled it off. Very dangerous. He's got a lot of knockouts, a lot of submissions. Then you got Sak Lee. He's a bit of a judo base. He can grapple, but he has been submitted by another experienced fighter earlier in his career. I just don't know what he brings to the table. Both fighters are a bit messy on the feet. Bit messy on the feet. So if this stays on the feet, we could see like a bit of a fun, messy brawl type of fight. Throwing power shots at each other. We could see something like that. But I do think we'll see a bit of scrambles going on in this fight. And I think as it goes on, I think we'll see Felipe Diaz get the better of those scrambles, get the better of those exchanges, and end up in more dominant positions where I think he will find a submission eventually. Probably a round 2. That's what we're going to go. I'm taking a few fucking round 2 finishes this card, okay? All right? It is what it is. I like a round 2 finish, okay? Luis Felipe Diaz, submission in round 2. That's going to be my pick for that fight. Let's move on to the main card. This is where it starts to get a little bit fun, This is where things start to heat up just a little bit. First fight on the main card, we have Alex Perez versus Sumudaerji, which is the dude that I get mixed up with fucking Aoriqileng all the time. I guess they've just got one name. Maybe that's what does it. I don't know what other similarities they have that could maybe be making me confused about it, but I don't know, Alex Perez, I'm going to pick him to win this fight. I think he's a lot more experienced, I think he's a lot more higher level than Sumudaerji. Now, Mwaji, he's very tall, good knockout power, striker, has been submitted a bunch, but so is Perez. The difference here, I think, is the wrestling ability of Alex Perez, which he has shown in the past. Coming off of a good round 1 knockout win over Charles Johnson as well. That needs to be mentioned because Charles Johnson was on a fucking generational run. And Alex Perez put it to a halt. He's shown that he's been able to beat, the run of the mill. Not the top of the top, but he's been able to beat the rest, All of his losses come to literally the top of the top. You have Asu Almabayev, Mohamed Makayev, Pantoja, Tatsuro Taira, all of those kind of fighters, Whereas Sumudaerji, he's lost to Matheus Nicolau. He's losing to Tim Elliott. Now, Tim Elliott can be tricky. Matheus Nicolau these days, by submission, I think we're going to see Alex Perez mix in the grappling here, mix in the wrestling. He's good on the feet, so he's going to be able to set up them shots with his hands. He's got good boxing, good power for the hands as well. I think he's going to find a submission here. Round number 2, you fucking guessed it, baby. Round number 2 submission for Alex Perez. I think the wrestling is going to be too much, and I think this fight's going to show some levels to the flyweight division, just a little bit. Moving on. Oh yeah, I don't think Sumudaerji looked that great. I feel like in his last fight with Jesus Aguilar, I feel like there was a lot of times in that fight where he could have done a lot more and actually probably found his way to a finish. And I think that really stood out to me, That really stood out to me. Moving on, we have not this fight. Let's go on to Topology again because Jake Bloody Matthews is fighting Carlston Harris on short notice. Jake Matthews isn't stepping in on short notice. He was meant to fight Muslim Salikov, and I was going to pick him to win that fight. And I'm going to pick him to win this fight, just a little bit easier, okay? Carlston Harris on short notice, I think he's like 38 now. They've fucking lost one unk, and they got another one. They brought him in. A little bit younger, but they're trying to kill the unks here, okay? Jake Matthews is going to win this fight, and he's going to finish Carlston Harris in probably the first round. I could see a round 2. I think he's going to use his boxing And I think he's going to put hands on Tallison Harris and put him out cold. Okay? We're going to see Carlston Harris palms up. I was actually taking Jake Matthews to win against Muslim Salikov by knockout too. He likes to box. He does. And I'm expecting to see that here. Carlston Harris is pretty dangerous with the submissions. He's got a nasty, nasty anaconda choke. Never been submitted before. Where Jake Matthews, he does like to mix in the grappling, the wrestling, and, you know, threaten subs here and there, but I don't think he's going to want to do that here. I think he's going to want to try and keep it on the feet and put his hands on Carlston Harris. Charleston, whatever it is. It doesn't matter because you're going to sleep, buddy, all right? That's just what's going to happen. Don't fight it because it's sold, set, and done. Put the house on it. Don't put the house on it. That'd be stupid. Okay? Jake Matthews is the only one. The only fight that stopped me from having a fucking perfect event of picks for UFC Perth last year. Yeah, the Neil Magny fight. Yeah, the one where he pretty much subbed him out in the first round, but the ref, you know, pulled him off before the bell and the fight went on. Maybe the fight would have went on anyway, but it still fucking sits there and I fucking still think about it, okay? It is what it is. Nothing we can do about it now. Just try and get this card perfect, okay? Jake Matthews is back. He fucked me last time. I swear to God, if he's the only one that I get wrong on this card again, I don't think he's going to lose to Carlston Harris, though. I think Neil Magny's got a whole lot more fucking opportunity, okay? That'd be silly to say. Let's stop rambling on about Jake Matthews and Carlston Harris, okay? Let's move on. Back to the UFC site. Let's move on to the feature bout. No, this is not the feature bout. This is not the feature bout because it's a 6-fight main card because it's a fight night, you fucking... Kai Asakura is back. Kai Asakura is back and he's fighting Cameron Smotherman. I'm going to hate myself if I get this wrong. But I'm picking Kai Asakura and I think he's going to knock out Cameron Smotherman. Now, Smotherman, he's more of a striker. Got some very clean technical boxing. Does well. Can be out-grappled. Just like Kai Asakura. Very clean striker. Nasty knees, nasty elbows. You know, came from Ryzen. Very fast on the feet. Very good power. Very good knockout ability. I think he's going to be a lot better, a lot quicker, a lot more dangerous than Cameron Smotherman on the feet. And I think he's going to put him out. I'm going to say a round 2 finish. I could see it happening earlier than that. But I think this is going to be I think we can see a bit of a back and forth. And then eventually the damage will add up. And then we're going to see Kai Asakura get his first win in the UFC. But if that doesn't happen, I swear to fucking God, fading Kai Asakura forever, okay? Cameron Smotherman, yeah, he's alright. He's alright. But he's had some moments where it's like, you know, fell short against Ricky Simone. Which isn't a bad loss. And I think, who else did he fight? Davey Grant? Maybe? No, that's someone else. That's Ramon Tavares. Why was I thinking of that? He lost to Ricky Simone. And he lost to someone else. I think he's on a 2-fight losing streak. He was meant to fight at the start of the year. Unfortunately, he did have that moment where he passed out after weighing in, walking away from the scale. Tough to see that. Hopefully, the health is all good. Everything goes well here this week for him. That's all we can hope for. So he can go in there and get his payday. Like, you gotta keep it respectful at times, all right, boys? It was very, very, very shit to see that happen. You know? It is very shit to see that happen when we see when we see stuff like that. So let's just hope for the sake of Cameron Smotherman he can get through this fight, win or lose, get that paycheck, and if he loses, probably get cut from the UFC. But you know, they've given other people more chances, so maybe not, maybe not. And Asakura is here on a 2-fight losing streak, but that was to the champ at the time, and then Tim Elliott, who's, like I said before, he can be pretty tricky. He can be pretty tricky, but I am going to pick Asakura to win this fight. Let's go round 2 knockout. We're fucking sliming out in round 2 this week, okay, boys? This isn't going to be a round 2 knockout. This is going to be a round 1 knockout. Sergei Pavlovich versus Tallison Teixeira. It's time. It is time that Teixeira pays for the crimes that he committed. To the fans that attended UFC 325 in Sydney, it's time that he pays for his crimes. I was there in person. I had to watch him blob out our boy Tai Tuivasa for 2 rounds, 2.5 rounds, and then watch Tai fall drastically short in the 3rd round when he had him hurt, but he was way too tired to keep throwing. It was a fucking hard watch, alright? Exciting in moments, but very few moments. That was a crime, okay? And it's time to pay, alright? Sergei Pavlovich, he's coming in here. We all know what he does. Yeah, he hasn't been doing it lately. He's a little bit of a lull, okay? A little bit of a lull. Let's give it to him. But it's time to get that knockout back, okay? It's time to get those hands going again. It's time to start putting people back to sleep, all right? We're going to see Tallison Teixeira catching some Z's, going to bed. You know what I mean. Round 1 knockout for Sergei Pavlovich. I think he's going to be a bit too much. We've seen Derek Lewis put Tallison Teixeira down. And I think Sergei Pavlovich is going to do something similar here. Probably look a bit cleaner. Teixeira, I don't think he's going to have success. Like, even if he does get him down and holds him down for a round, I don't see him. I don't think he has the ability to just take you down and submit you easily. Like, he's done it in the regionals, but I don't think he's going to do that to a Sergei Pavlovich, you know? Look, he is a tall, freakishly fucking mutant-built dude, so... And he's got some decent power in the hands, but the striking and the pressure of a Sergei Pavlovich, the power in the hands of Sergei Pavlovich, I think it's going to be too much. I think he's going to land on Tallison, and he's going to make him pay for those crimes that he committed in Sydney earlier this year, okay? Sergei Pavlovich by round 1 knockout. That's what we're going with here. I think I'm pretty fucking confident on that one, okay? I'm pretty confident Pavlovich finds a knockout this week. Let's move on to the co-main event of the night. Zhang Mingyang. Oh, fuck. Zhang Mingyang versus Alonzo Menifield. I fucked that up pretty bad. I was trying to nail him, you know? I was trying to fucking nail him. Zhang Mingyang versus Alonzo Menifield. Trust issues. Trust issues, you know? You get trust issues with fighters. When you're predicting fights and when you've done it for a while, you start to get trust issues with certain fighters for certain performances. Now, Alonzo Menifield, he's had a pretty good career. I feel like he's been pretty underrated, to be honest with you. I think he's pretty well-rounded. He was able to submit Jimmy Crute at one point, and Crute's a very good grappler. He's got incredible power in the hands. Incredible knockout power in the hands. Lately, though, not been looking so good. Now, some recent wins, he beat Umar Sy, but that hasn't aged too well. He beat someone else just before that as well. I'm trying to remember who that was. Look, he's got some sneaky wins under the belt. Dustin Jacoby, you know, he beat him at one point. He's got some sneaky ones here and there, and I do think he's a bit underrated as far as how his career has panned out goes. I do think he's kind of at the end of his day. And I think stylistically, this matchup is not great for him. I think we're going to see a similar kind of fight to what we seen in the Volkan Ozdemir fight, where he kind of just got backed up. He was looking for counters in moments, but yeah, Ozdemir just backed him up and started swinging like a fucking tard and put him down. Eventually landed a big knee, put him down pretty bad. He's been knocked out in the first round a couple of times recently. Famously by Carlos Ulberg, he literally just ran at him and instantly got knocked out just about. I think we're going to see Zhang Mingyang come forward. He's a very aggressive striker mostly. Very, very aggressive striker. He's got a lot of knockouts on the record. Big power. And a fun fact about him, 100% finish rate. He's never won a fight when it goes out of this first round. Trust issues. Trust issues. That's something that I was looking at. I was a little bit worried here because Alonzo Menifield, he could probably stall it out with a bit of grappling. He could. Mingyang had troubles with the leg kicks of Johnny Walker last time out, which is eventually what got him put down on the floor. Ended up in a TKO loss at home in China. He was big favorite too. You know, trust issues. Okay? Trust issues. But I am going to take Mingyang Zhang to win this fight. I think he's going to win this fight by first round knockout. Backing up Alonzo Menifield to the cage, using those vicious elbows that he notoriously has. Like, his elbows are fucking vicious. I think he's going to be able to put those to use, mix in the knees. And I think he's going to put it on Alonzo Menifield up against the cage. We should be looking out for some big counters here from Alonzo Menifield. I wouldn't consider Mingyang a lock. After the last performance, you look at the people he's beat. Yeah, he's on a really good win streak. But then you look at the people he's beat. It was an Anthony Smith it was Anthony Smith's retirement fight. And then he had someone else and then Ozzy Diaz. So, I mean, and Tuko Tokos. Yeah. That's the UFC caliber that he's beat. And then you got a bunch of regional dudes. Whereas Manifield's, he's got wins over your Dustin Jacobys, you fucking, can't think of them all on the spot right now. I mentioned a few before. You get the gist. Manifield's been at this level. He's been fighting at this level. He's got a lot of wins at this level at the top of the division as well. Mingyang Zhang is still a little bit untested. I wouldn't consider it a lock. But I do think stylistically this is a good matchup for him, and I think he can bounce back with the win in the fashion that he does so well. First round knockout for Mingyang Zhang. That's going to be my pick for the co-main event. Let's move on to the main event of the night. I'm going with Song Yadong. Now, when I first looked at this matchup, without diving into the records and whatnot, like I do for a normal prediction, breaking them down, looking at the records, looking at fights, watching tape. Before I got into all of that, I was thinking, yep, easy win, Song Yadong. It's going to be my pick, no doubt. I don't know if it's that much of a lock. I do think he wins. I'm pretty confident he wins, but I'm not super confident he wins, Figgy can be tricky. He can be tricky, but at his age, similar to the last fight, the age of Alonzo Menifield, I feel like that's a big part of why I can go against him there. Same thing here. Figgy, 38, smaller weight class as well. Bit small for the weight class too, He's come up from flyweight. Kind of coming for his second run in the career. Looked good against some people. Good win over Rob Font. And at that time, look, Rob Font's tricky. He's still tricky for a lot of people, A lot of people can't get past Rob Font. He put hands on Rob Font. He does have good power in the hands. He's recently got a good win over Montel Jackson, where he mixed in the grappling. Kind of, snoozed it out a bit, but he got the win, got the bounce back that he needed. And then you look at his losses. I mean, Umar, most recently, Corey Sandhagen, there was an injury, but he kind of got beat up by Corey Sandhagen for a bit there. And then, I can't remember who else. Why can't I remember who else? Anyways, not the worst losses as far as ranking value goes. Not the worst losses. Whereas Song Yadong, still very young, still building into himself, I guess. I mean, he's been around for a long time, and at this age, being around for that much time and still being this young, I think that's only good, It's only good. He's very well-rounded. He has very good boxing, great power in the hands. He can put you down, good pacing across 5 rounds too. Just good cardio in general. Good scrambles, good takedown defense. I think I said that. Good all-round, very well-rounded MMA fighter. Gives everyone troubles. Everyone has, win or lose, a close fight with Song Yadong. Sean O'Malley clearly beat him, but it was a close fight. Peter Yan had troubles with him, Everyone seems to have troubles with Song Yadong at times. He can be very tricky, and I think he's very good. He put a fucking beating on Ricky Simone, putting him out in the 4th round. Now, these days, Ricky Simone ain't that much to talk about, but, it's just performances like that you look at and you're like, oh, fuck, yeah, this guy's at that level, Not the top, but he's right there. He is right there. Still being so young, I feel like there's a lot more for him to give us. Hometown main event in China. I mean, I don't know if it's hometown. I don't know if he's from Macau or anything. Fucking don't quote me on that. But home country. Yeah. I don't think Figueiredo's going to be able to mix in the grappling and dominate in the grappling like he did to a Montel Jackson. And I think on the feet, the output and the power of Song Yadong is going to be the difference. I think we could see some scrambles here, We could see some good back and forth scrambles here on the ground. Song Yadong's got it. He's not switched off on the ground. He is very good on the ground as well. He can even threaten takedowns of his own and grappling transitions of his own. So I just feel like with what each fighter brings to the table, we're looking at a lot more advantages to the side of Song Yadong on the feet these days. I just don't think Figueiredo's putting that much out these days, The outputs come down a bit. Statistically, he gets hit more than he throws. Okay? Going by the stats, that's off of his whole UFC career. Statistically, he gets hit more than he throws. Or more than he lands, okay? So, I think that's going to be a problem for him here. Song Yadong's output's going to be a bit too much. He's going to be on the pressure non-stop, throwing power shots, good head movement, all the goods. I think Song Yadong's going to work his way to a TKO eventually, round number 3 or 4. I'm going to say it's around 3. Around about there, I feel like the damage is going to start to add up. We're going to see Deiveson start getting backed up a little bit more here and there. And I think eventually it's going to get to him. And I think we're going to see a TKO. Good hometown or home country performance here by Song Yadong to wrap it up for the night. That's going to be my pick. Round 3 knockout, baby. Boys, thank you so much for watching. That's going to be at the end of the video, okay? That's going to be the end. We're at the end of the predictions. That's what happens at the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you got to this point of the video, drop a like and a sub if you enjoyed. We'll keep it going, all right? I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.